Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about what to do when a girl is losing interest. So you're dating a girl, or perhaps she's your girlfriend or something like that, but you can basically tell that this girl is losing interest in you. She's not as enthusiastic anymore. Perhaps she's not talking to you as much. Perhaps you're not seeing her as much. Perhaps she is just not being as affectionate, stuff like that. So, um, I'm not going to say to you that doing these things that I'm going to tell you to do will work. I mean, it's going to leave you in the best possible position to make them work, but you kind of need to come to the conclusion that she might be on her way out. Basically, this might be the end. There is a high possibility that she could have lost all interest, and basically it cannot be salvaged. You need to always be kind of coming from that place of like assuming that this could be the end, right? You have to assume it could be the end, because if she's losing interest, and it could very well be the end. Now, obviously, I'm kind of more in the frame of mind of talking about someone who you're just dating, not in a relationship with, but you're just dating, and she's suddenly not wanting to see you as much and that kind of thing. If this is a girlfriend, like someone you've been for a long time, it's important to know that sometimes interest in women who you're married to, or who's been your long-term girlfriend, sometimes their interest can go a little bit like this. It can dip, it can go up. So what I would quickly say to those people who are in a romantic relationship that's been long-term, and you feel like your wife or your girlfriend is losing interest, just go back to, spending more time with her, in a sense of, doing more of the things that you did when you were at the beginning of the relationship, because that's how you basically keep a relationship strong. That's how you keep the magic alive long term. Obviously, the magic can't stay as highly intensely as it did at the beginning, but you can keep it at a really good level if you just continue to court your girlfriend or wife like you did at the beginning of the relationship. So just go back to spending more quality time together. And if you're a guy watching this and you're not I don't know what your girlfriend or wife's kind of energy is, but if you're a man watching this, then just start behaving a little bit more masculine. That sometimes really brings like the sexual polarity back. Start doing more guy things. Perhaps you want to even spend some time with your guy friends, and spend a little less time with it, create some distance, but also if you can have the opportunity to, then court and date her like you did back at the beginning of the relationship, and do those things that you did at the beginning. Start putting your best foot forward again, and that usually should rectify the situation. And if it's gone past salvage, then you'll find out very quickly, basically. But today I want to really be discussing about those girls that you may be just dating, that you may be just talking to a little bit, and you've started to realize that, hey, she's not into it as much. She doesn't want to see me. Things seem to look like they were heading towards a relationship, and now they're not. So basically what you need to do when this kind of thing happens is you just need to really pull back on how much you're talking to her. The best thing to do is to actually not see her as much. Like, if let's say you've been seeing each other once a week, start seeing her maybe like once every 2 weeks, or maybe if you really want to stretch it out and get her interested more, see her once every 3 weeks or something like that. So basically, you just want to cut back a lot. You want to be doing a lot less than what she is, essentially. So you kind of got to look through basically all the ways that you're communicating with her. Like, how many times do you call her up? How long do you talk for if you call her up, or like on FaceTime or something? You've got to cut back a lot on those things. And also, grab your phone and look at who's sending the most messages, who's sending the longer messages, who's sending the more frequent messages. If that's you, then you need to cut back a lot, and you need to make it so she's doing more than what you are. So, because basically, if you want her to be interested in you, then she needs to be doing a lot more than what you are, because obviously there's not a good balance. Whatever it is, whatever you're doing, the balance isn't right. Now, of course, it may be the case that you are doing the right balance and this girl's just not into you, right? That could always be the case. That could, definitely be a possibility. So you kind of need to figure this out for yourself, because obviously it depends on your specific situation. So if she is doing most of the initiating of the texts, the calls, if she is sending the most messages and she's losing interest, and you're doing a lot less than what she is, and you can tell that she's losing interest, then obviously, it could be the case that she's just not that into you, right? But if you're doing a lot of it, if you're doing all of the initiating, if you're sending the longer messages, if you're sending most of the messages, if you're calling her the most, if you're the one that's dragging out the phone calls, cut back on that so much. Like, so for example, if you have a FaceTime with her or call her up or whatever, cut the conversation short. Make the conversations much more shorter. Basically what you want to be doing is you want to be just creating anticipation. You want to be creating mystery, because that's what's going to make her more interested. Because, think of the word interested for a moment. Interest is like something intriguing, right? And if you're not there all the time, if you're not always in her DMs, if you leave like good gaps between messages, and you start, messaging her less frequently, you stop telling her what you're doing all the time, you're a bit more vague, basically, a bit more mysterious, then that's going to create intrigue, and therefore she'll become more interested. And then obviously when she does become more interested in you, don't go back to what you was doing before, kind of continue at that pace until you end up in a relationship. And then when you get into a relationship, you can kind of relax a little bit, but the way that you got your girlfriend is the way you keep your girlfriend. So you have to keep on keeping some of that mystery alive. You keep on courting, you keep on dating, you communicate well with each other, and just be mysterious, just be more mysterious. And basically what will happen is, if this girl really likes you, and she is, for whatever reason, she's just lost a bit of interest, she'll come back. She'll be more interested in you again. She'll start reaching out to you more again. She'll start putting in more of the effort. Whereas if she's not interested, and you start doing these kinds of things, you stop talking to her less, she'll basically just fizzle away, and you'll never hear from her again, basically. So either way, you win, because either you're going to get a girl who's interested in you, or you're going to realize that she's not that interested in you, and then you're free to go and find someone who is interested in you, right? So, obviously it kind of sucks when a girl starts losing interest, especially if you're really interested in her, but you need to really see the reality of the situation, right? The reality is she's losing interest. So basically what you're doing right now isn't working. So she's losing interest, that's the reality of it. And you've got to accept that reality, right? And you've got to course correct. So accept the reality. I know it stings, because basically we suffer when what we want is different from reality. That's why you may be upset right now that she's losing interest. But you've got to accept the reality. She's losing interest. There's not really that much you can do apart from back off. And that's basically, essentially it. That's all you really need to know. You just need to start backing off a lot more, and wait for her to start pursuing you more. Really look back on really look back on your correspondence, the way that you've been talking to her, how much you've been sending her messages, how long your messages have been, and basically you need to do less than what she is, and start doing less than what she is. Back way off. Try not to chit chat too much on the phone anyway. Don't try and send too many messages anyway. You really need to start, if you haven't already, start meeting up in person. The best really rule that I can give you about messaging and things like that is, try to keep it brief. Just use your phone, use Messenger, use calling up, and all those kinds of, things to, arrange dates. Don't use them as ways to get to know people, right? It's not a good idea to do that. It's better to, get to know people in person. You can't really get to know someone over the phone anyway. Human beings simply are not designed to get to know people over the phone. This technology, phones and, WhatsApp and FaceTime, they've only been around for, a couple of decades, these kinds of like texting and calling and this kind of stuff, right? We are, as human beings though, we've been on the planet for hundreds of thousands of years, and we've always got to know people in person, so we can read the body language, so we can, tell about the facial expressions and stuff like that. It has to be done that way. That's the best way to get to know people, in person. So stop messaging so much. Start arranging dates with her so you can meet her in person. And essentially just, start gearing you two towards that relationship. Because if this is someone that you're just dating and you're not in a relationship yet, she's absolutely, you know, free to not message you anymore. She could ghost you, she could do all sorts of stuff. Okay, so that's essentially what I really wanted to tell you. So basically, you just need to back off a lot. Just back off a lot and just see what happens, basically. So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally, then please go to www.christinelovage.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye, guys.